All right, good morning, everybody. And it's great to see you all.
I mean, get the quarterback in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. And so, as again, being the guy that who of the three doesn't belong here and why, that's me. So I'm going to say a few things and then let our Hall of Famers talk. First of all, I know everybody got the book, and I carry it with me. Mine is dog-eared for some things I may talk to Steve and Ronnie about. If you haven't read this, I'm just going to make one plug. Read it. It's an extraordinary compilation in one place, and I know Jonathan and Alan were here yesterday, of everything that made Bill special. Everything that, what these two gentlemen have done, Bill did, right? At age 40, done with football, had to find the different path, which he did extraordinarily well. Second thing, and that's what I'm going to lead into Steve and Ronnie with, just a couple of weeks ago I had a chance to hear Peyton Manning speak, and he told a story that was amazing, I'd never heard before. And he was talking about the very first game he played in college. And I didn't even remember this. His first game in college at Tennessee was against UCLA in the Rose Bowl. He was not the starting quarterback. The starter got hurt. Manning gets put in the game as this 18-year-old fuzz-cheeked freshman, backed up deep in their own territory. So Manning tells the story about how he gets into the huddle and he feels like he has to be the guy and take charge. And he starts in immediately with some rah-rah, let's go, blah, blah, blah. And he says, suddenly, one of the senior grizzled offensive tackles looks at him and goes, shut up and call the play. And when I heard that story, I immediately thought of Bill. It's amazing how that works, because if you read the book or you've heard people talk about Bill, one of Bill's great lines, and anybody that was a friend of Bill heard Bill say this 1,000 times, your title makes you a manager, your people make you a leader. It was one of the mantras that Bill lived by. And as soon as I heard that story from Peyton Manning, that's exactly what I thought. So, to these two Hall of Fame leaders, when did you have that moment? Did you have a moment like that where you realized, okay, I'm going to become a leader?
Well, I saw leadership a lot. I'm looking at one of the all-time greats. I will tell you a story real quickly about Ronnie. I joined the 49ers in 1987. They've already won 2 Super Bowls. The 1987, the 49ers were the kings. It was amazing. And Bill Walsh had led the team, and that was Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, and you could just go through the team with Roger Craig, and every name you could ever imagine. And I jumped in the middle of it, and suddenly Bill put me and Joe kind of together, like almost pitted us against each other. And Joe was like, "Wait, excuse me, I'm the king. What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I don't know." But I'm here. And so, here it is. And so I was kind of the I don't know how to say it, just the odd man out. And it was very competitive. And Joe was tough. I mean, if he talked to me, it would be a couple words. And if other people talked to me that he thought were friends, it was tough, And in the middle of all that, I'd play, every once in a while I'd play. And I remember one day struggling a little bit as I played. And now you can imagine, when I go on the field and Joe Montana's the king, I better be good really fast or there's going to be a problem. And then when I wasn't very good, people were like, oh, my gosh, this guy's worse than we thought, And I remember Ronnie grabbing me, and he used to grab you by your jersey and look you in the eye, like, oh. And then one day he pulled me aside. He's like, "I got your back. I got your back." It was he looked at me and "Don't worry, I got your back." And he was the king. If Joe was the king, he was the king too. Like they were both kings. And and what that meant to me was that somebody who's a leader, who's in control of the situation, basically told me that you're supported. In the middle of all this and all this craziness and all this stuff that you're going through, you are supported. I have your back. And I can always remember thinking to myself, I got to get this done, because somebody really important believes in me. And Ronnie knows that he did that all the time. And he's the kind of guy that paid it forward. He was not about Ronnie Lott. He wasn't. He was a great player, Hall of Fame player, but he was not about himself. He was always looking out. Who's struggling? Who's looking for, and I mean, he was like a gravitational force that was like he was looking to find a way to pay it forward. And and he didn't need to talk to me. He didn't need to say anything to me. He didn't need to take a responsibility for me or say that, I got your back was the most important thing that's ever said to me at the time. And so to me, that's the secret. You lose it to find it. He's famous for not looking at his own career, but others. He's famous because he was a leader. And what is a leader? You can't be about yourself. You have to be focused on other people and how they're doing and what they're up to and what do they need. And it's always different. I'm sure there's some people he didn't grab by the shirt and yell at. Like, he knew me. I was like, he looked me right in the eye, like, this is what we're doing. But yeah, it's athletic. But I think the number one thing, and I think the people that are known into the future for generations, they'll talk about Ronnie Lott and they'll talk about how hard a hitter he was and what a great safety he was. But the reason why they talk about him is the impact he had on other people's lives. Because that's how it works. You lose yourself to find yourself. Like that's how it's ironic. It's ironic that you can't be, if you're all you are is about yourself, you will be successful. But what's the legacy? And Ronnie's legacy lives on, and he doesn't even realize it. He's like, watch the next thing he says. Oh,
All
right, Ronnie.
I am going to say, and the reason I'm going to say that is that I had the good fortunes of playing with a guy by the name of Hacksaw Reynolds.
See, and that's the idea. Paying it, like, think about it. How did he pay it forward? It's
Right,
easy.
and so all of a sudden you're in front of this gentleman who basically sawed a car in half. And I don't know about you guys, but I have never met a linebacker that decided one day, oh, what do you want to do? I'm going to saw a car in half. And Hacksaw Reynolds, that's how he got his nickname at Tennessee, sawed a car in half. I don't know.
Was it like
and I don't want to know.
The car around the town to get in shape?
But the first time I met him, I was coming into training camp, and I sat right next to him. And it was the first day at camp, and I look over, and he's got 100 pencils. Mm-hmm. He's got 100 pencils, and they're finely sharpened. And I'm like, this dude, man, who is this dude?
Yep.
And Bill Walsh walks in, he stands up in front of everyone, and he goes, we finally got our first round pick in, and he signed his contract, and we're gonna now take notes. So of course I'm from SC. I don't have a notebook. I don't have anything and I say, hey, Hacksaw, I mean, come on, can I borrow a pen and some paper? And he looked at me and he says, no. And I said, come on, man, you got it.
Got 100 pencils.
You got it. You got to give me one. And he says, no. And he says, man, you know something? I want you to know. I mean, I love this game. I've given everything in this game. But you better be prepared if you want to play with me. And even right now, when he said it and how he said it, I can feel that moment right now. And what I feel about the moment is that the intensity of being great takes every ounce of your soul. And that's what guys like that do. And you don't recognize it until a moment like that where they tell you that I got all of this, and yet you haven't even earned it. And so for me, that moment was a moment that taught me to be prepared for all the things that you want to do in life. And
was it true, Ronnie, that he used to go, we were at the hotel, and pregame meal, and he'd come in his uniform.
It is true. And so, another great story, Hacksaw Reynolds, championship game, we're getting ready to play the Dallas Cowboys, and we're all excited. It's going to be obviously the biggest game in the 49er history, and he shows up, and he's got eye black on, he's got his hands taped, he's eating breakfast, and we're all looking at him like, what are you doing? And more importantly, why? He's like, guys, don't you know? This is for the Super Bowl. Again, in a moment which all of us in this room, we think that we should know that we're ready to play for the Super Bowl. What he was trying to get us to understand is that, man, all night, all morning, he came dressed ready for one opportunity. Now, a lot of us have dressed ready for one opportunity. A lot of us have dressed ready for an opportunity that we think is the most important opportunity. And what he was trying to say to us was that you don't understand how hard it is to be a champion right now. Right now. And the willingness of him saying to us, hey man, I'm ready to play right now. Let's play the game right now. And one of the things that I think a lot of us always, we think about it, and I know as you woke up this morning, you came here. Some of you came here to play, and some of you came here to get better. He comes to get better. He doesn't come to play. He comes to get better. And so the reason I got my Converse on this morning, I woke up this morning, first thing that hit me was one guy, Dwight Clark. I was like, man, I'm putting my Converse on for him. Because he tries to get better. Now, the lesson for you guys, and the reason I love Dwight so much was that his last breath, he tried. I want you to understand what that means. His last breath, he tried. Now, live your life like that. Live your life like that. Do that for the rest of your life.
He was a great man. He was, Ronnie,
Do that.
you hit on a theme of self-improvement, of a constant desire to self-improve, and it never ends. And it's a spirit of today. It's not about beating somebody.
That's right.
It's about beating myself.
That's right.
If you just constantly keep in mind that I'm on a quest to see how good I can get.
I mean, when you think about it, and you guys know this, we all are walking around looking and thinking that we have to be measured by some person, some example. I always find when I'm in a room when you're with the Hall of Famers and you're sitting there and you look around the room and you're going, damn. And Jim Brown is over there. And then all of a sudden, Mean Joe Green leans over and he says, man, my wife died. And I want you guys to know that when you have moments like that, you start to get the impact of what greatness is all about, because even they suffer. Even they have moments. Even they live to do everything they possibly can. The reason I'm telling you the stories is because these are the stories that are all about men like you. Men like you that go out every day to be the best they can be. To me, I love coming because when I'm around this guy, from the time I met him, he has always been curious about getting better. Not good, but better. Love to understand from one of you guys. Tell me, man, how you get better every day.
I read on a variety of subjects. I try to absorb as much information as I can and apply it.
Read is
Jeff said reading and writing, right?
not books, though, right? Yeah, actually, not physical books, like with pages, right?
Yes.
Good for you. I'm reminded, Ronnie. As times have gone on, but I'm reminded that you hit on something there that just Reggie White was he was an amazing athlete. Reggie was the best athlete I've ever met, other than LeBron James. Like
He was.
Reggie was, his football card said 6'6", 310. I want a 6'6", 310, and that is code for 6'9", 400. You know what I mean? Because no one writes down 6'9", 400, but he was that big. But he could run, he was strong, and every time you played him, you're like, holy crap, here comes Reggie. Because Reggie could just throw people out of the way. Like, you know, and you could hear him. I drop back to pass, and it was like, oh, you're gone. And guys are flying, you know. And here he comes. Oh, you know, he made a lot of noise. You know, he was like,
He did.
Oh, boys, you're like, oh, here it comes. And you can hear it. And then one thing about Reggie, and the point I want to make is that in the middle of all that intensity, of all that, you know, adrenaline and all that competitiveness and all of that, you know, insanity in many ways, right? Is that everything you have, you know, you're exploding with everything you have to try to get your job done. And then all of a sudden he would get me and grab me and then roll around and make sure that I fell on top of him. And then he would want to talk. Hey, Steve, how you doing? You know? How am I doing? Not so good. Not so good.
That's Reggie.
And my point is, in being great and seeing how good you can get, it's an athletic event. It is not a singular, I play one note on the piano over and 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 I'm getting really good at it. No, it's actually being able to be athletic and be able to wear different shoes. I put it on in my way. Reggie was able to be an incredible competitor, and in a flash, he was an incredible friend. And I always thought that was an amazing transition. You could be that way too. It was an amazing transition that people could have in wearing different shoes. And as you get older, you'll wear shoes of father, you'll wear shoes of husband, you'll wear shoes of business partner, you wear a lot of different shoes, and how fast can you take them on and off and be great at these different pairs of shoes that you wear? And I always remember Reggie for being that guy that could be your best friend and be your greatest competitor all in like a flash of a minute.
You should tell these mostly young men here that are all going through this transition in their life that both of you successfully made about the advice your father gave you.
Yeah. I told him I wanted to be Roger Staubach. He was my hero. Roger ran around. I thought that's what I would be like. I had his poster up. I saw his hand, how it held the ball, and I would hold my hand the same way. And how he talked, I would try to talk. What he did, and he was my hero. And so I told my dad, I'm going to be Roger Staubach.
When's the first time you met Roger?
First time, so he was, all growing up, I was going to be Roger Staubach. And I never met him. until I was walking out on the field at Candlestick Park to play the Cowboys in the championship game, and he was the honorary captain. That was the greatest move the Cowboys ever made, because I was like coin flip, and I'm like, you're my hero, and you don't know me, but I was like, when I was growing up, and I had my poster up, and I was trying to, and I was totally distracted. That was a nice move by them. But my dad, so I told him I'm gonna be Roger Staubach. He goes, "That's a great dream. That is an amazing dream. That's a dream that's a dream. That's awesome. What's the plan?" I go, "What do you mean, what's the plan?" I go, "What's that? That's a dream. Dream's very unlikely. What's the plan? What's the 80% plan that's going to happen? Like, give me something I can count on. Can't count on that one. Dreams you have to have. Don't ever leave them. You have them all day long, but there better be a plan with it. Not to get the dream, but a plan that can, what's the thing that you can go and make a living, and what you can do, what job, what can you be educated, and give me the plan. And then the dream can be out there. It's always there. So I started playing for years, right, in the NFL. Dad, the dream and the plan came together, and now I don't have to worry about it anymore. And he says, "Oh, really? Because the average career in the NFL is 3 years, and you're going to be, under 30 when you get kicked out. And then what's the plan?" I'm like, "Oh, all right, I'll keep the plan going, Then I played for 15 years, 16 years, and I'm like, "Dad, that really was the plan, the dream." And all that. He goes, "Yeah, so you're going to retire at 38, and then you got half of your life left. What are you going to do?" I'm like, "Oh, crap, this plan thing never ends." And it was really awesome advice, because along with Roger Staubach, who told me when I was retiring, what should I do to plan for my second career? He goes, "Run." That's what Ronnie's done. Run. You'll always be able to talk about football. It'll never go away. But you need to emotionally run away from it and start something new. You were great at something, now you're good at nothing else. How do you get good at something else? And so the dream and the plan has always been in my mind. My son has a dream of being on Broadway. He's an actor, singer, and I can't get him to understand that there needs to be a plan as well.
Yeah. But he's gonna be a rookie. What?
He starts his rookie year next week.
Next week.
So, dream and a plan.
Right. And so, Ronnie, you do the same thing when you finish playing. I love the run analogy, because there's something we always think about, running towards something as opposed to running away from something. Right. So when you finished.
Yeah, I think that when I finish, I've always felt like you got to be a rookie. And I just think that you're going to constantly be a rookie for the rest of your life. And even in certain subject matters, you're going to be a rookie just because you just don't know. And I would imagine that, just being around Steve over the years and being in the various businesses that he's involved with, you're constantly trying to understand that you're a rookie.
You're constantly the dumbest man in the room.
Right. And so as you're being a rookie, and as you're trying to figure it out, one of the things that I'm always amazed about is how many athletes are saying, I can't step into that world because they're not going to accept me. Wait a minute. You're a rookie. You got to figure out who they are. You got to go in and embrace the culture. You got to go and find out what they're about. You got to go and talk to them. You got to go and express how bad you want to be on a part of the team. You got to do all the things that you did your rookie year. You got to do all the things you've done all your life. Because every time I've joined a team, a new team, I just got involved with the dealership in Carson City. I'm a rookie. I'm a rookie to the community. I'm a rookie to all the people that are working at the store. I'm a rookie. And by the way, there's a lot to learn. Much different than California. The customers are different. There are a lot of different experiences. And every time I go up there, I have to go with the idea of saying, boy, when do I become a veteran? When do I get a chance to understand the value of this opportunity? And by the way, I got 4 or 5 guys that are sitting there saying to me, you know what, Ronnie? We want our monies back. And by the way,
car's a lemon.
Yeah. we want a return on our investment. And so you're constantly trying to find ways to evolve and to understand the value of not only being a rookie, but playing for other people. Because you're always playing for someone else.
Ronnie, the worst thing, I mean, it's amazing how that is probably the best thing I've heard in a long time. Just that constant willingness to have some humility in your expertise. You know, you read a lot, you become expert in something, and now you want to use it as a big stick to beat people back, so you're competing against you. Others that want to use it as a sense of control, so because you want people to know what an expert you are, and how devastatingly bad that is for you and for paying it forward. And there's a constant humility that I'm still learning, still becoming an expert. I'm still taking it in. And I can't tell you how important you guys who have been asked to be kind of an elite group, you know, there's something special about you to be here. Not like everybody just rolls in here. Mm-hmm. And then what does that make you feel? Does that make you feel entitled, or does that make you feel like, wow, I'm lucky and I need to learn more? That's just really how you have to, one way or another.
So, first-time guys that are here for the first year, can you stand up?
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Wow.
That's great.
It's phenomenal. And welcome. More importantly, man, the guys that are sitting down, the people that are sitting down, I want you to just, at some point, walk over to one of them and just say, hey, man, how can you help me? How can you help me become better? Because when I look at all of you right now, knowing that this is your first year, knowing that we are now teammates, we're in the game together. Steve's in the game with you. Ted's in the game with you. All Bill's friends are in the game with you. Man, explore your Rolodex. Explore your relationships. Find out, especially given all of your talents, find out how great you can be. You might not find it out today, but man, find out how great you can be.
And have the willingness to find out that you're not as great as you thought.
Yeah.
There's a risk. It's risky.
Throw it out there. Throw it out there. To me, that's the great players are willing to always find a way to learn. And thank you guys for showing up. And thank you guys for standing up. Because we need you.
Oh.
We need you.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways. We need you. So thank you guys for showing up.
We should
appreciate it.
You want to take a few questions before you got to run?
Yeah, I got to run, but I'm so sorry. I do want to say something. You don't want to be great at one thing. People get so focused. I just said this earlier, but you have to be athletic. You have to be willing to be a great father and a great husband and a great businessman and a great leader and a great. You can't just you can't let it fall off the table because they're asking too much of me. Find that athleticism. It's the richest experience. Ronnie, I got to tell you, he's one of my greatest examples all the time because as great as he was at football, you know, I was with his daughter not too long ago, and they have a podcast around mental health and sports. And I just thought myself, I want to be like him with my kids. You know? Like, why is it that Ronnie Lott's showing me how to be a dad? Like, he should be showing me how to be a leader of a football team. Like, why? How does he do that? And that's that athleticism. You want to be a true Renaissance person where you're open, you're humble, you want to learn, and you also are looking to be good at most any aspect of your life, because that's the power that the world's missing. I mean, right now we're in this zero-sum game. Everyone's just battling, and you're going to get it or I'm going to get it. We're at war. And when I get it, I'm going to laugh at you until you're a loser. There's nothing in, there's no abundance in there. Nothing. It's like, you guys got to change the tone. You got to see the collaboration. You got to see the chance for compromise. You got to look for the ways to see about the other person and what do they need. Let me stand in their shoes a little bit. How are they thinking about it? How can I not be in fear of you, of the other? I mean, we just need leadership. Please, save us. Save us. We're done. We can't.
Well, I can
all
tell
we
you-
can do is talk about it anymore. But you guys can go do it. So go do it.
And I think that what Steve just said there is amazing because we huddle all the time. I mean, it was so funny. We just were sitting here 5 minutes ago, and I walk in, man, I haven't seen you. He says to me, he goes, why haven't I seen you?
I know. I usually see him all the time. I haven't seen him lately. It bugs me.
And so you're huddling in life to be able to find ways to talk and express, to learn about what you can learn from the other person. You know, today when I walked in, I was sitting there going, man, where's Jeffrey Marks? Jeff, stand up, man. I want you guys all, when you get a chance, that man right there, I want you just to say hello to him. And the reason I want you to say hello to him is that he's got an incredible book that for me, in his path, is what we should all think about.
What's the title? I want to know it.
Yeah.
Season for Life, man. And Season for Life is about, it's about
You're going to get a spike
loving.
in sales.
Yeah.
But it's about loving. It's about loving your teammates. It's about loving men. It's about understanding why you need to love another individual. And one of the things that I always find that in that book and in life is what you pointed out. You got to make it happen. You got to go after it. And in most of our inner city communities, we're not making that happen.
Yeah.
We're not going after it. We're not allowing kids to understand how much we care, how much we love them. And in that book is an incredible example, at least for me, over the years of playing the game of football. Man, I love my teammates. I talked to Jeff Fuller yesterday. I was like, hey, Jeff, man, how you doing? And Coach Slocum, RC Slocum, we were laughing. And he goes, man, RC does so many great things for me. And I was like,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
here's a coach from A&M. We're laughing on the phone. And Jeff is saying, man, that coach still is in my life. So don't lose sight of the love of all of our relationships. I have a coach right now, Coach Lindsay. You guys, he might be one of the greatest, because every time I mention his name to coaches around the country, they go, oh man, Coach Lindsay was. And when I call him or talk to him, and he tells me, man, he loves me, or he tells me that, man, I'm praying for you, or he tells me, hey, you got to get your game together, or he tells me I'm working on making sure my daughter is getting what she needs. That relationship is unbelievable. So don't lose sight of the love of the relationships you have, man. A lot of people that you've come across and have been in huddles with you, make sure you understand how to honor them and continue to pay your respects to them. It's a meaningful life to line up with another human being.
I'm so glad I was here.
Yeah. Amen.
I'm sorry. I have got to go. I apologize. I love this. I love what you're doing. I love Ronnie. I love Ted. Mark, thank you for having us in. I apologize. But
And-
Ronnie, I honestly, no one pays it forward more. Be a lifetime of paying it forward. Everything you get, be willing to give away. You know what I mean? Everything. Just try to, that's just, I can't wait to read this book because we need to see other human beings as human. And how can we inspire them? How can we bring them along? How can we give them, how can we learn from them? How can we come together? And we don't have to give an ounce up of our values. We don't have to give up an ounce of our beliefs. We don't have to give up an ounce of anything. We just need to, be open. So I hate walking out of this room. This is awesome. We could do this all day. We need to make this an all-day event.
And you know what? Ronnie and Steve brought up last thing, relationships. That was a great word because that was Bill Campbell, right? Bill Campbell.
Right. That's right.
That was the essence of
What's
Bill
all
Campbell.
that's
was
why it's
relationships.
Bill did all this. This is all
Exactly.
natural to him.
So thank
and
you
that's
for
why there's a
bringing that word
legacy.
up.
That's why there's a trophy. That's why there's a summit. Because he built that over. That's the legacy.
Yep.
And he didn't keep it. It's just great, Ted. Great
Good.
to be with you.
Good. Good. Sure. All right.
Yeah, if you guys have
Yeah,
any
if
questions,
you
if
wanna-
there's any, yeah, go ahead.
So on the football field, it's really easy to self-reflect. You've got film, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. How do you self-reflect outside of football?
How do you self-reflect outside of football?
Thank you.
And you know this, man. I can self-reflect literally by the guy that was just filming me about 10 minutes ago. And what you need to do is sometimes you got to ask the tough question. And the tough question is, how can I get better? What can I do to help you? And so we have people in our lives that are coaches. And we have people in our lives that care about us. And so one of the hardest parts to me is hearing the real stuff. No, you suck. That's the moment where I have a tough time. And you're trying to be a great husband and you didn't say the right thing. And instead, what we do a lot of times is we don't say, how can I get better? You get angry. Imagine if you said to yourself, man, I'm going to go work on me. I got to go work on me. And in life, a lot of times, when we talk about mental health, right, that's a big subject now. It's funny, we're talking about Bill Campbell, and when you think about Bill went and talked to a lot of incredible people. And I used to sit there and say to myself, why does Steve Jobs need Bill Campbell? Think about that. What? And I remember times where Bill would talk to me and he would say, hey man, I was just with Steve. And I would sit there going, so what was that like? Now, the bigger question is that what I love about Bill jumped Steve Jobs, he jumped me, he jumped everybody, meaning he was in your shit. And the reason he was in it, because he knew that you could be better. And what I love about having friendships like that is that you need to have somebody, to your point, that's in your group that is challenging you to find ways to get better. And so the huddle never stops. The huddle never stops. The huddle never stops. Wherever I go, whoever I meet, I think I see the young man sitting back back there, I huddled with him. And we've huddled. And the reason I huddle is that he's making me better. He's challenging me. And my point to you is that that's what we have to do. We have to find our group, and we have to find people. That's why the summit is great, is that this is not just about learning. It's about collaborating. It's about finding new teammates. It's about understanding that at some point, hey man, I'm going to find a great teammate that can be a person that's going to help me think even better about me. That's one of the great things, is that somebody's trying to improve me by helping me, by just talking to me. And so, yeah, for you, I think one of the great things is that you get to explore still playing in the huddle. Don't ever stop the huddle. I'm 60. I just turned 60, and I'm telling you right now, the other day I was backpedaling. Man. And my wife was like, get down a little lower.
Here, let's take a question
Yeah.
right here in the front. We'll repeat for everybody in the back.
Ronnie, how do you battle with a constant desire to self-improve with looking back and reflecting on your accomplishments and celebrating?
How do you fight the battle of constantly looking to self-improve balanced against looking back at your prior accomplishments?
You know, that's the looking back part. I'm a deleter. I like to delete information. I like to delete things that have happened. I'm a believer that when I look back at my football career, I gave everything. I don't need to find out if there's more there. So sometimes I delete that. And the reason I delete it, because I think it's important to kind of just not even think about it. If you really want singular focus of your life and where you're at, and so for me, I have to have that. And it's important for me to be able to do that in certain situations. But yeah, that trick of being able to manage and information and how you take it in and store it and how you improve upon it. Again, in this room, we're going to have different ways of how we all retain knowledge. Somebody just told me, I think it was Jeff, when we were walking over, he goes, Ronnie, there was a guy here, man, that was unbelievable. I was like, where is he? He's like, he's not here yet, but I want you to meet him. If he's that excited, I should be that excited. I was excited to meet Hacksaw Reynolds. I was pumped up to meet Hacksaw Reynolds. But I'm pumped up to meet just about anybody that can help me get better in life. So my therapist, when I'm sitting with her, and the reason I'm telling you that, because I'm okay with understanding that, hey man, I need to sit with her. So a lot of things that we do in our lives now, and I know for a fact that should we be sitting with a therapist and talking about some of our issues? Yeah. And my point to you is that I have to find a way to continue to get better. And so life is about the journey of trying to find yourself in situations where when you think you have issues or you have faults or you got to keep getting better in everything you do. At least I believe that. Mm-hmm. That's just my practice of how I've been trained. And when I think of the guys that I've been around, I used to crack up because Bill Walsh, phenomenal coach. I was like, who's that guy right there? He goes, oh, that's my therapist. He's with me. You know, I spend time with him. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. I talk to him about everything. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And so my point to you is that sometimes it's the things that we don't see in people. It's the things that we don't see in people that we learn that there are tools out there that can help us get better.
Good. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you for coming again every year. It's one of the most valuable things I think about this whole thing. I really appreciate it. Do you have any examples, key examples, an action item with all of us? We're all football players, and we think about something you can actually go do, where carry on Bill's legacy, where someone that you've helped has gone on and helped someone else, and you've seen that that's extremely valuable, where it's just a specific example where people in here can go and do that to someone else.
The question is about carrying on Bill's legacy. Has Ronnie seen an example of someone he's helped then turn around and pay it forward to someone else? Action items to carry forward.
Well, I'll say this. There's a school in this area that he loved, a school that a lot of coaches and a lot of his friends would go and volunteer their time. You know, and again, just knowing what I know about this group, you know, one of the great things in life is when you huddle on a field, whether it's huddling on the field at the Coliseum or huddling on the field not too far from here, paying your respects is an incredible thing. And just know that if you went over there and you paid your respects, knowing what I know about Bill, that's a valuable asset to all the kids that might bump into you and see you there. You know, one of the great things to me about walking on fields is understanding who came there before me and why they played the way that they played. I mean, Steve just talked about Roger Staubach and about all of what Roger did. I had the good fortunes of meeting Jim Brown one time and early on. I think of the impact that he's made on the game. So imagine, like I try to do, is when you're around those people, is how do I find a way to pay my respects to what they've accomplished? And in Bill's case, I just know that if you did that, it would be something that he would feel, and the community would feel it. And knowing what I know about this greater group of guys, you can enlist some of us, and we would feel it as well, okay?
And the other thing, I'll just tack on one thing, and then we'll get to your question. And some of the people that were here yesterday, I know, were people that are now in their 30s, that how I first met Bill was he coached my son in flag football. And the point I'm making is that Bill not just coached them in 8th grade, but mentored them through high school, through college, and was friends with them. And Bill was in his 70s when we lost him, and he was friends with people in their 30s. He helped follow them through. He didn't just coach them for a year or 2 years and then let them go. And that's where we went back when Ronnie brought up relationships. If there's one theme you take away from anything that has Bill Campbell's name on it, it's the importance of that. Relationships. Beyond any professional status, beyond any Hall of Fame ring, Bill would just sit here and talk to you like, hey, let's go have a Bud Light. and as you said, he'd jump you. He jumped me. He would jump anybody that he truly cared about with your proviso to make you better. Yeah.
You got to remember, honesty, which we all have, and how we use that to make a human being, 10 times better. Sometimes, if listened to the right way, Willie Lanier is one of my mentors and great friends. And Willie Lanier is one of the true gentlemen, one of the phenomenal football players. And he said to me one time, he goes, you can't use your head. I said, what? He He goes, I don't want to ever see you use your head again. So here's a guy that played in the National Football League, busted a blood vessel in his head his rookie year, played the rest of his life without using his head. What I think is really fascinating to me is that I keep hearing about we can't do this. And here's a guy that played many years ago that did it.
Yeah.
And the reason why, because he can, and he knew that he could, and he did it, and he showed it. So there are no excuses. There's no excuses.
I've heard you say this before.
No excuses.
Great people, right? Great people adjust.
You just
You adjust.
You
I heard you say
adjust,
this, yeah.
and you can. And so, just want us to understand that, man. As you guys talk about the game of football, and somebody tells you, "What do you think about concussions?" and they ask you, "Do you think you can play without using your head?" Hey, man, if Barry Bonds can see a baseball and can tell you the number on the baseball, you gotta be kidding me that you can't think that you can't adjust. That you can't adjust. So we need to inspire our young people to continue to love the game of football, but also to continue to understand that, man, they can play this great game, and they can play this great game doing it without using your head. And the reason I wanted to say that is that Willie Lanier would kill me if I didn't say it to all of you, because that is his legacy. And that's his legacy, and he wants everyone to start to preach that, because that's a part of our community that is not being told, and it's not being heard. And for some reason, a guy like that, who is one of the best ever, to say that, you know, I can do it, you can do it.
That's great. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ronnie, thanks for being here. USC talked about being great in all areas of your life, whether it's business, family, etc. Sometimes it seems like those things can compete for your resources and time. How have you managed to balance it all and try to do that, be great in all areas?
The question,
First-
if everybody heard, was about balancing and trying to be great in all areas of your life.
And I'm gonna say this. Have you ever missed a tackle? Yeah. So, isn't it amazing that we can sit here and talk about, and I know this, as I have friends that will tell me tomorrow how many tackles I missed against the Rams, or how many plays I blew in the Washington Redskins game. And my point to you is that didn't stop me from trying to be great. Okay? And so we're gonna have our moments. The question is, how do we delete that play? The great players and the great people have made mistakes all over. We see it all the time. We see it every day. And they continue to strive, and they continue to work, they continue to get better. And so to me, I think one of the great things that I've always said is that we're gonna fail. We're all gonna fail. We're gonna have our moments. But as most defensive backs will tell you, hey man, I gotta line back up. I can't think about that. The play's over. And all of us who have played the game, when the play's over, then the next play is the most important play. And that's really life. That's the most important play. I mean, I can tell you, the most important play for me right now is I gotta remodel my Toyota store right now. and if I don't get that done within the next, 6 to 12 months, I have a feeling Toyota's going to put their foot in my rear end, right? But in all seriousness, that's something that is an expectation that I have to think about and I have to work on, and I have to get all my team and my people and everybody to execute on trying to get that done. And so, yeah, you got to remember, deleting bad plays is something that we got to learn. A lot of us hang on to bad plays. We hang on to bad moments.
You need amnesia. I'll tell you 30 seconds very quickly. You've worked in television, so you know where I'm going with this. In my field, in television, in sports broadcasting, the best people to work with are former football players. All of you have been there because you've been criticized, you've been critiqued, you've been told what you didn't do. In our profession, no one ever does that. Very few of us have ever been told we're not very good, right? Very few of us have been told we're bad. And every former football player or coach that I ever work with constantly says to me, hey, help me, critique me. I love that. I think that's a great strength for all of you going forward and into whatever path you choose going forward.
I gotta say this. Today, man, if you can, you guys should all huddle up and share one of your weaknesses. One of your weaknesses will be one of your strengths. So huddle up, get about 10 of you, and just say, you know what, let's just talk about one of our weaknesses. That weakness that you talk about will most likely become your strength. Just because you've allowed yourself to be able to say, you know something, this is something that I want you to know. And in that endeavor, a lot of times, you don't even realize it, how easy it is for you to be able to sit there and say, well, by the way, I got some other things too that I should think about.
And the last thing, relationships, how important it is. So when this trophy was named for Bill Campbell, the ceremony was on this campus probably what, Mark, about 10 years ago?
Yes, 10 years.
Somewhere right around there. All right, so it was on another building on this campus. In walked Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs came to that ceremony because of his respect for Bill. So later on, I asked Bill about Steve Jobs and his sports interest, whatever. He goes, he doesn't know if a football's pumped or stuffed. That was Bill's line.
Hey, man,
but with the respect he had, the relationship, right?
So this is a great story. This is a great story. I'm in my 4th year in the league. I'm in this clothing store, and I see Steve Jobs. And my friend that's helping him says, hey, do you want to meet him? I'm like, man, I want to meet Steve Jobs. So I walk over, and he goes, so what do you do? I go, play football. He goes, so when are you playing? And I was like, dang, this is, I said, man, we're getting ready to play the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. And it made me, and so when I said it, I was thinking to myself, you mean you're that brilliant that you don't even know when we're playing? You mean you're that dedicated that you don't even care? Think about that. Because knowing what I know about all you guys got some busy minds. And the reason I know you got busy minds, because you've played the way I've played all my life. You got a lot going on. But imagine him. Imagine him. And when I saw that day, I was like, okay. Wow. That's why he could be who he is. And that's why he could turn around Apple. And that's why his genius was his ability to see things that nobody else could see. And for me, sometimes in those moments, you don't even recognize the value of what you see in people. So pay attention to all of what excuse me, to all of what the universe provides you, man. Pay attention.
Hey, can we give a round of applause for Ted and Ronnie?
Thanks, guys.